Okay, this is an example of real price action. So as you see, it's not as clean as my drawings, but what they are doing is somewhat the same. So let's see here. We are on the 4 hour now. This range is very nice. So uptrend, moving up on the 4 hour. Here, move to the high is basically from this red candle up. Still holding. We are doing some very local price action here, right? Didn't make a high, lost this, did a pullback, but then we went higher. See, we went higher, and now we held the lower high of the previous one, continuation. Right, so for now, it's just an uptrend with some very local stuff here. Okay, now finally, big sell-off. Big sell-off. We lost these levels purely by price action and trade setups. We lost the 4 hour move to the high. So expectation now is now or later. So they could just go up and retest now, dump, but we expect some sort of a retest of this area and a pullback. So, but might not happen yet. So we go down, wick below some interesting zones here. So in this low range, this is the higher low they wanted to hold. There is some stuff here also, but in this range, probably wanted to hold around here. Not the low of it, that's not main support. I will show more examples. The main support is actually the origin, the higher low, and the lower high on inverse. Yeah. So they wanted to hold here, they wick below it, but then they held it. So you can call this a sweep, reachievement, whatever you want. They wanted to hold here, they wick below, but then held it. And we went higher later. But first, they did do a retest of this range, and we got a decent pullback from it. Testing the lower highs of this range. So makes sense. Went higher. Right. Finally went higher. Still haven't gone above this range yet, but we went higher. So we have a new move to the local high here. On the way here, they never lost, well, initially they didn't lose this, but they did lose these levels for a bit. So went below it, did a retest around this level and continued lower. So now, since they didn't hold the high of this, they went back for the higher low, the low range. But this time they held, move up, held some higher low, and we went higher. As I have said before, just making a new high doesn't have to mean that we will go higher. So every time price is making a new high, I will be looking for a potential reversal setup. See, even here, what they did here is actually quite the same as what they are doing here now. So new high. This is the move to the high. But on the way down, they held decently, but they still lost these levels, the high of it. So we are expecting some sort of a reaction. They did. For now, we still haven't lost the high. So they could just wick below and reachieve and pump again. But now we lost it right here. Started to close below this, stayed below it, Even on the daily, I think we lost the daily here. So we are still looking for some sort of rejection in this range. We don't know exactly where, but somewhere between the bottom here and the high swing. Somewhere in this range, we are expecting our reaction. We could go there, but we probably did that in lower time frames. We already see that this is an interesting zone. So this short setup I did was basically this. And it worked out quite nicely. We get 18% dump. Right. So very nice setup. The exact same setup is valid for longs also. So let's actually look at some extremely interesting. Let's just get this. And I also need to clean up. I already did, okay. So let's go to the weekly. And photo. And we are over there, okay. So this is a zone quite a few people have seen before, but not for a while. This is the previous bull run in 2017-18. So what did they do here? Actually, let's go to the daily first. And then we can pick up the weekly. Right, so daily. As the higher time frame will have more impact. So the higher time frames are most important, then lower and lower. But a big move can start with a 3-minute achievement. So don't underestimate reversals starting in lower time frames. So what did we do here? Probably lost some lower time frames first, but daily. When we lose the daily, it's starting to get interesting, and especially weekly. So daily moved to the high, right? We lost it, retested later, right? So just the same as in my examples. This was the daily. So already here, this is where big players closed most of the longs in this range on the retest. Because you don't want to sell the bottom like after you want to sell on a retest at the best possible price. Because you do expect some sort of a retest. I guess they could have closed here on the low of it, but so your expectation is a retest of somewhere in this range. So what's the most likely setup? Usually around like the level they lost, something like here. But they could reject the low of it, like here. So lost the daily. So now let's go to the weekly. So now we are looking for longs, right? Not shorts like the other one. So what did they do? Weekly, move to the high, all the way here. This is they traded here for a long time, like almost a year in this range. I just call it the 6K range from 2018. Lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, finally down to 3K. Right. So we lost the weekly, but also keep in mind we lost the weekly, but we also have some local move to lows now, right here. I'll still have it there, but so big levels to achieve. So we have this one around 4K, and I have the bigger one from the main dump from 6Ks. So these levels will probably be very important later. So lost the weekly, move to the lows here. So expectation is if we achieve this range, probably look for some sort of a retest. And if we achieve this range, still look for some sort of a retest. And then continuation. So here we have a lost weekly. So expectation is a retest and continuation lower, or at least a decent retest. But we also have some achievements here. So when we finally broke the 3K range, we actually never did do this retest. But when we achieved these, we did retest them here. So yeah. So, not forgetting that we actually lost the weekly, we are still looking for the big short here. So then the question is where? And if you can predict that 100%, you will be a billionaire, right? So, but we are expecting some reaction. It could be just a lower high of this, or this range, the main retest area. So we ended up giving a big short here. It was a monthly level, very interesting range. It's also the retest that made us lose the move to the retest. That's always important. So this is basically the origin range. And when we lost this move to the retest and went lower, that's basically a bear market confirmation. Could still save it, but as long as we don't achieve it, it's bad. So we need to achieve these levels now, and later these, to turn this around. Right, so we did the big retest. Remember, this is still just the same example. Some moved to the high, lost it, and we're expecting some sort of retest and continuation. It's very simple price action. Maybe even reject here, but some sort of rejection. So rejecting here was not unexpected at all. But don't forget, we actually did achieve these levels. So don't be too bearish. Sure, we did lose the weekly. We also achieved the weekly. So first, they tried to hold these here. But we did another failure. Then we did the big dump, finally testing these, and then we pumped. So very pure price action. So onward to the next. That's it for this video. If you like the content, please give us a thumbs up. If you want to learn about how to get access to free group and one-on-one coaching, make sure you check out our T10 supporters page.